Hi guys, it's Legionero back with another video. Today we are doing a tutorial on Vogue 8823, right? And I did view C, slipping out of my hand. I did view C here, right, of the bag. I've had this pattern for a while, so I'm not real sure if it's still in print. But I did look in the drawer the other day at my Joann's and it was in there. But when I look online, I can only see it on places like Pattern Review and Etsy and places like that. So this pattern may be out of print. But I've had it in my stash for a very long time and I've wanted to make a bag out of it. And I got some fabric from Minerva and I decided to go ahead and make this bag. So let me show you what it looks like. Hopefully you can see it. I may be too close to my camera, but here it is. All right. It's really cute. It's a huge bag. I didn't know it was going to be this big until I pulled the pattern out, but yeah, it's a huge bag. I like this element here where it has a cover on the handles, and then the handles I got from Joann's. And I used a waterproof lining for the lining of the fabric because this is a faux leather and it's very, very, very soft. I think it's better for garments, you know, skirts, pants, dresses, but I didn't interface it because I knew I was using waterproof canvas and I didn't want the bag to be super heavy. So yeah, that's why I didn't interface the outside of it. But if you want a more sturdy bag, like if you're using a cotton cloth when you're working with a softer faux leather, use like a mid to heavyweight sew-in, or maybe even a fusible fleece sew-in, depending on the type of bag that you're using. But this one turned out just fine because of the waterproof canvas. Is very, very sturdy. I'm not worrying about it coming apart or anything like that. I did make a few mistakes. You have to put in snaps, and I was going to use some metal snaps, but I ended up using plastic snaps. I don't know if you can see them. They may be blending. Because I have a press machine and I had the wrong die cutter in the press machine. I had the larger cutter, so I cut the hole entirely too large. So I couldn't use the metal snaps for this bag. But I'm gonna put a video in the description box below of the snap video that I use to show me how to do the snaps. But I ended up using my plastic snaps anyway. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it because of the color of the fabric, but I ended up using plastic snaps anyway. Which is a bummer because that was been my first time putting in metal snaps. So, and that's why I didn't show y'all in the video, because I didn't know how to do it when I thought I was using the metal snaps. But anywho, yeah. I like it though. I love the bag. It has a zipper pocket and a slip pocket on the inside. I will show you that in the video. And I think that's about it. This is a pretty easy sew. Yeah. All right, so let's get started. All right, so let's talk about some of the things you're going to need to make this pattern. You, of course, are going to need your pattern, Vogue 8823. And I actually found this pattern in my pattern drawer. I'm not sure if it's out of print or not, but I did find it in my pattern drawer. But when I went to look it up online, I could only find it on places like patternreview.com or Etsy or eBay. So I will do another search and put all the information I found in the description box below. You're going to need some scissors. If you are cutting out your pattern, you're going to need scissors for paper and scissors for fabric. Never mix your two scissors. Seam ripper always comes in handy. You're going to need a marking pen. You're going to need some pins or clips. Since I'm using faux leather, I'm using clips. You're going to need a ruler. Double-sided tape will definitely come in handy for this project. It's not necessary, but it will come in handy. So I suggest you get some. All right. You need at least a 7 to 9 inch zipper. Mine is longer. It was out and I didn't have to search for a zipper, so I just got this. That's why mine is extremely long, but you can cut it off. But you need at least a 7 to 9 inch zipper. I'm doing view C, so you're going to need a purchased handle. You can definitely make your own handle, but if you make your own handle, you're going to need some either D-rings or square rings or circle rings to make your handles like this, because you're going to, one of your pattern pieces is strap tabs, so you're gonna have to sew strap tabs to this end. So I had these in my stash, so I grabbed these, and I think that's all the tools you're going to need. If I miss something, I will pop it on the screen. So the pattern pieces you're going to need, and I'm doing again view C. You're going to need pattern piece number 2, which is a pocket. That's your zipper pocket. Pattern piece number 4, which is a regular slip pocket. And you're also going to need pattern pieces 13, 14, 15, and 16. 13 is your front and back main pieces. 14 is your lining. 15 is your your loops or your strap tabs. And 16 is the patch that is going to hold your straps in place on your bag. All right, so first thing we are going to do, if you are using a fabric that you're going to interface, go ahead and interface your pieces and then meet me back here. Right, I'm not using an interfacing for this because I feel like the waterproof canvas I'm using for the lining is going to be sturdy enough to kind of hold this and bagging together. Right. The faux leather I'm using is a little delicate. I really don't think it's for bag making per se, but you can make a bag out of it. I cut out another bag that I was going to make with this. It's the So Sweetness bag. I can't remember the name of it right this second, but it calls for foam interfacing, and I was going to sew foam interfacing around. So that is something that you can do. You can do a sew-in interfacing for this, but again, I'm not going to interface this. But you can definitely use a sew-in interfacing for this faux leather to make it a little bit more sturdy. And before we get started, and before you get started, make sure that you cut out all of your pattern pieces and make all of your markings. You have a number of markings on here that you need to make, so make sure you make all of your markings. And this pattern piece number 13 is cut on the fold. So if you pull out pattern piece 13 and 14 and you realize that pattern piece 14 is way bigger than 13, that's because when you cut out your fabric for 13, you need to cut your fabric on the fold, all right? And then when you open it up, it's the same size as your lining, pattern piece 14. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, take pattern piece number 13, your main bag. You place them with right side spacing. We're going to do a lot of prep work before we sew. Okay. That way we can take a number of things to the sewing machine with us at the same time. All right. So place your pattern piece number 13, right side spacing. you're going to pin or clip all the way around across the bottom and the side, back up the side, and that's how we're going to sew. We're going to sew from one side all the way around, across the bottom, and back up the side. Alright, so I'm just going to place a few clips just to hold this in place. And I'm going to set this aside, but you should definitely pin or clip all the way around. Now grab your double-sided tape, and for piece number 16 you should have 2 pieces cut. Grab your double-sided tape, and this is just to help hold this in place while you sew it. So what you're going to end up doing, you're going to end up folding these edges. So I'm going to put my double-sided tape on these edges. And you peel it off. It's acting up on me. There we go. Peel that backing up, and then you're just going to fold down that edge about 3/8 of an inch. Right? And this is why I like using the double-sided tape, because it holds it in place. Right? I'm going to do it to the other long side, and I'm also going to do it to these short sides as well. And you're going to do it to your other piece. Alright, also grab pieces number 15. You should have 4 of these. You're going to do the same thing, except you're only going to do the long edges. You don't have to do all 4 edges, you just do the long edges. Alright, so with piece number 15, fold it in half. Kind of get a little crease going there. Take your double-sided tape. Place it on the edge there. And then fold the edges towards the crease. Right? And just the 2 edges, not all 4 like we did the piece number 16. And you're going to do that to all of your pieces. Now, once you get all 4 of your pieces done for piece number 15, grab your strap. And now, what you can do, so once you get all of these done for piece number 15, take it to the sewing machine and sew down the edges. That's just to kind of secure it in place. And then take your strap and whatever rings you have, whether circle, D rings, or square rings, you're going to take your loop and you're going to place it in between, and you're just going to base this in place, and you're going to do it. You have 4 of them, so you should do this 4 times. Alright, so we're going to take your 4 pieces of piece number 15, and we're also going to take piece number 13, your main piece. We're going to take all of this to the sewing machine as well as your straps and sew everything together. Alright, so go ahead and grab your lining pieces. You're only going to need 1 right now. And go ahead and grab your pocket pieces. So grab piece 14, your lining, and pieces 2 and 4, your pocket pieces. I'm going to work with piece number 4 first, pocket first. And this pocket is actually pleated. But since I'm not using any interfacing or anything like that, I'm going to do just a regular slip pocket. So set your lining piece aside and grab piece number 4. And if you want to do a pleated pocket, just make sure you follow the instructions in the pattern. But I'm just going to do a regular slip pocket. And just waiting on my little iron to heat up and my little ironing block that my mom made me. I have a couple of different ones, couple of different sizes. They are super cute. So I'm using my little Cricut mini press here, just trying to blast out these creases as best I can. And what I'm going to do, that's not a real good job, but it'll do for now. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it in half. Right, the short edges are meeting, and I'm just going to press this a little bit. You don't have to press this part because we're going to sew and turn it to the right side and press it again anyway. But I like that little crease as just as a guide. Alright, so we're going to take this to the sewing machine, and you're going to leave an opening here at the bottom, and you're going to sew from here. You're going to sew across the bottom and then all the way up the side, and here too, across the bottom and up the side. Make sure you leave an opening so we can turn this. Alright, now I have my pocket sewn. I'm going to clip these corners really close. without clipping through my stitching. And I'm going to turn this to the right side. Now the pattern instructions, I do believe it has you do the zip pocket first, but I'll tell you why I didn't want to do the zip pocket first once we get to that section. So I am going to give this a good press. I'm going to fold in that opening that I left using that seam allowance, and I'm going to press this. Alright, now grab your lining piece, the one that you're going to put the pocket on. It's up to you, whichever one you're going to use. So what I've done, I've already drawn out where my zipper pocket is going to go. So I'm going to place my slip pocket below that about an inch. There are markings on your pattern piece to let you know where to place this. I'm going to place it about an inch. I'm going to take a little bit of double-sided tape. I'm going to tape this down, and then I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew down this edge across the bottom, making sure I close this opening and then back up the side. All right. Alright, so I have my slip pocket on. Now I'm getting ready to do the zip pocket. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but I tried to do it in red. I drew my box here, and this box is for the zipper. It is on your pattern piece number 2. So I put the box here on the right side of my fabric, and it's also here on the lining. So I'm going to place these two boxes together. And I put me some double-sided tape down just to kind of hold it in place. I'm just going to kind of line it up here, right sides facing. And I'm just going to place it down. And I can still see, because I did it in red, I can still see my box here. So I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and I'm going to just sew around this box, because this is what we're going to use for our zipper. All right, and this is why I like to put the slip pocket down so far, because I'm making sure that I'm not sewing that slip pocket. Alright, so you should also have some more markings on your box. You should have a triangle, and you should have a line in the center. Alright, so what I'm going to do, take my seam ripper, and I'm going to start at the point of this triangle just to open it up a little bit. Just enough so I can put my scissors through. And what you're going to do, you're going to cut that center line open. Right, you cut the center line open, and then you cut the triangle, but don't go through the stitching. Get as close as you can to the stitching. The closer you can get to it, the better your zip pocket opening looks. Alright, so what you're going to do now, you're going to take this piece here and you're going to tuck it on the inside of that opening and pull it through. Alright. I'm going to flip this over. You try to get this as straight and as neat as possible. You can press this. I'm using waterproof canvas. I've never pressed it. I think you can on low heat. But I am going to take my little seam roller. You all have seen this before. I'll link it in the description box below. And see if I can use this instead of my iron. Probably is not going to do the same good job as an iron would do, but hey. You could also probably put some double-sided tape here. In this where you cut it open, you got a little space here and maybe hold it in place. Pressing is the best thing to do, but if you're using materials that you can't press, like cork or faux leather or leather, you may want to find another alternative. Alright. So this is what I mean by cutting as close to the stitching as possible. You see how clean that is there? You don't have any bulky seams. Alright, so now we're going to take our zipper. And again, you can use some double-sided tape. And place it on your zipper. Since mine is so long, it doesn't really matter where I place it because I'm going to end up cutting it anyway. And I kind of like using longer zippers. Because my opening is so wide, I probably should have found a zipper with the zipper tape is at least a 5. That way the zipper tape would have been wider. But this will do for this tutorial. Right, so I'm just going to slide my zipper. Right, and the right side of your zipper is facing up. So you can see the right side of your zipper through your opening here. And I'm just going to place my fabric with the double-sided tape. Make sure my zipper coils are kind of centered in that opening. Alright, I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew around this box. And the reason I did my slip pocket first is because when I finished this pocket, I would have had to try to make sure that this pocket was out of the way and the back and all of that. So I just made sure, so I just did my slip pocket first, and that way I didn't have to worry about all of that. All right. Now, if you're using a longer zipper like me, when you start to sew around and you get to about right here, make sure that you unzip your zipper, all right? Because if you sew all the way around, then your zipper pull is on the outside, and that will not work. All right. So take this to the sewing machine and sew your zipper in place. I got my zipper pocket on. It kind of gave me a hard time, but I got it. So I'm gonna flip this over. I'm gonna cut off this excess zipper. Right, I'm going to take this part of the pocket. I'm gonna fold it down, and I'm going to sew down the side, across the bottom, and back up the side to finish off my zipper pocket. And make sure you're only sewing the pocket fabric. Don't sew your bag. After you sew your pocket, go ahead and take this lining piece, take your other lining piece, place them with right side spacing, and pin or clip all the way around, and make sure you leave an opening. I'm going to leave my opening in the bottom of my bag, about 5 inches, so we can turn our bag to the right side once we finish. All right. So I'm going to finish up my pocket first, then I'm going to place my lining pieces right side spacing, sew around, leaving an opening in the bottom of the bag. Okay, so I'm about to go off the rails a little bit here because I don't like the pattern instructions. Pattern instructions are not hard to follow, but I just, anyway. So I have my main bag here and I have my pattern piece. Make sure that you mark your markings from your main pattern piece, piece number 13. You have a fold line, and you also have the placement where you're going to place pattern piece number 16. All right, so make sure that you mark all of your markings on your pattern. Now, I should have marked mine on the right side, but I marked them on the wrong side. I'm not going to judge all commercial patterns the same. But if you watch my quick sew video, you know that I said some of the markings were better on the outside, and this is that case again. Alright, so with those markings, take your handle that you sewed your loops on, and you're going to line your handle up with those markings. So in between the markings, you're going to line your handle up. And these markings would have been definitely good on the outside, but because of this fabric, I wouldn't have been able to see it anyway. So, and your handle is fake going away from you, all right? Usually we do handles like this and baste them in place, but we're not doing that. We're basting the handle as if you're basting the handle like you would carry the handle. All right, let me find my other 2 dots here. And let me show you this really quick. That way we can kind of get 2 things done at the same time. So this piece number 16 that we folded down and put the double-sided tape, once you baste your handle in place, you're then going to take your piece number 16 and place it over your handles, and then you're going to sew all the way around. Alright? And make sure you're far enough away from your rings that you use, whether it's D-rings, square rings, whatever you use. So once you baste your handle in place, then take your piece number 16 and line it up, and this is how you're going to keep your straps in place. You're going to do the same thing to the other side with the other straps and the other piece number 16, and then I'll meet you back here at the table so we can finish putting our bag together. Alright guys, we got the straps on and secured. So now what I'm going to do, just fold your strap down out of the way. Take your lining, and the wrong side of your lining is facing out. Take your main bag and place it on the inside of your lining so that right sides are facing. So the right side of your main bag is out, the wrong side of your lining is out. Place your main bag on the inside of your lining, and make sure those straps are out of the way. Pin or clip all the way around. Line up your seam allowances, and then you're going to sew all the way around. Once you sew all the way around, then you will pull your bag to the right side using that opening that you left at the bottom of the lining. And then you're going to do some top stitching, and you'll be all done. Alright, you're going to sew all the way around. Right, I've sewn all the way around. Now I'm just gonna pull it through the opening in the bottom. I don't want to pull too hard because I don't want to pop any of my stitches in this faux leather. I'm going to gently pull the top part out. So before I tuck my lining on the inside of the bag, I'm going to straighten this out first. But I'm going to tuck in this seam allowance here at the bottom where I left the opening. And I'm just going to sew really close to the edge to close up that opening. And then I'm going to tuck my lining on the inside of the bag. This waterproof lining. Alright, so tuck your lining on the inside of your bag. I knew that there was nothing wrong, but before you sew up your opening and your lining, just make sure everything is good with your bag. But there was nothing wrong, so. But you can save that as your last step. Whew, tired from doing that. Alright, so what I'm doing now, just kind of straightening up the top of the bag, pulling my lining up a little bit, because what you're going to do, you are going to top stitch around the edge of the bag once you get everything straightened out. Alright. Top stitch around the edge of the bag. And then we have to place our snaps. I'm not going to show you placing the snaps on the video. I will link a video in the description box below on the video that I followed for placing the snaps, because I had never placed metal snaps before. So I will link that video in the description box below. But once you top stitch around, once I top stitch around, I'll be done with the tutorial. And then I will link the snap video in the description box below. before I do that though, let me show you what I'm talking about. On your pattern piece, piece number 13, you have a dot here. This is the dot that you mark on your pattern pieces because that's where you're going to place your snaps. All right, so once you top stitch around your bag, then you mark, well, the place should already be marked on your pieces. Again, this is one that would be better on the outside of the fabric because you're going to poke a hole for your snaps anyway, so you won't be able to see the marking that you made. But you make that mark on the outside of your fabric and then you place your snaps. And then again, I will place the video that I followed in the description box below on how to place your snaps.